and welcome to the show. It's Starbase 80, and I'm your buddy, Captain John. Oh, I didn't even pay attention to what I was wearing. Ah, look at that. Did I clean up the room at least? Uh, Thanks for coming to the show. This one was a tough one because, all right, let me remove that. Because we've got two episodes here. Usually just recapping and reviewing one episode here on Starbase 80 takes me like an hour and a half, which is crazy because I'm usually only reviewing like a 40-minute show. This one, we're doing a two-parter. So that's a lot of work. A lot of work that you're going to be watching me scramble to do here on the show. And thankfully, I am not doing it alone. I am doing it with my partner in crime, the other guy who makes Starbase 80 what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mr. Flobo Boyce.
All right, Captain, Starbase 80. Starbase 80, damn! It's going to be a good old time. We were doing Enterprise, and we were singing the power ballad backstage. It was great.
It's been a long road.
Oh, it's great.
From there to here.
I can see the fog machines.
Oh, yeah. You know, I just want like all the white girls in the audience doing that one arm thing.
Right.
Dude, this one's going to be fun because it was chosen by one of my friends who is a great guy. And you met him briefly in the green room over canapes and you know, shots of Cavassier. I don't know. I don't know what we drink in the green room. Tiny little snifters. So yeah, let's bring in our guest, ladies and gentlemen. It is Craig Lubin. Craig Lubin.
Everybody.
Craig, you are a longtime viewer and participator in the chats, and also a friend of mine. And I've been trying to get you on the show forever, honestly.
Did you try asking him? Because that's usually how it works.
You know, I think you're right about that because I'm pretty sure the hints that I was dropping did not do the job.
Yes.
I think generally saying like, hey, if anybody wants to be on the show, why isn't Craig asking to be on the show? Like, people don't ask to be on shows, John. You have to invite them. Craig, I finally got you on the show, and you chose 2 episodes of Enterprise that I had never seen before in concurrence. I had started to watch Demons before. That's part 1 of the 2-parter. And I went like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to have to, because I like to drop the needle sometimes. I like to just watch, you know, a couple from this season, a couple from that season. This one confused me. Actually, I may have even started to watch part 2 first and been like, I have no idea what these reference points are. I'm going to have to go back. And then I didn't. And then I was confused. And then I just wrote it off. Hey, it's Enterprise. What are you going to do? And
what?
Enterprise is like Chinatown. You ever see the movie Chinatown?
Yeah.
Chinatown. The movie Chinatown.
Yeah, forget it, John.
Nicholson's character at the end of the movie, I'm not going to ruin it for you because, you know, it's a 50-year-old movie. You might still want to see the surprise ending.
Saw it and I hated it.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I had to watch it for film school. And well, you know what it is? I think for the time it was like really good, but now it's like so broad. You know, it's kind of like
very good point.
You know.
And at the end, it's so confusing and frustrating that the main character Jake is just like, "What? Huh? What?" And his buddy's like, "It's Chinatown, Jake. Come on, let's go. It's Chinatown." He's just like trying to write it off. It's Chinatown. You won't relate to it. So the ending of Enterprise for me for so long has been Chinatown. There's just no way. Like, how do I? And having finally seen it, I do have to say this might be 2 of the best episodes of Enterprise. Craig, what were you thinking in choosing these 2 episodes?
2 reasons. I look at this show, these 2 shows, to be the real official end of the series and of season 4, because you know where no man's gone before. I'm sorry, you know that was a hack job.
I talk about that too.
Coming in hot.
Yeah. Oh,
And
no.
I felt that way
Craig
too,
always
and I
does.
thought that this episode was quite relevant to what's going on in our wonderful world today. Especially at some now, when this show aired, it was about 4 years after 9/11.
That's right.
So a lot of the themes you saw recycled there, talking about the fear of the other, conforming to the to the plan of the government, is all this stuff that all came up back then, and it impacted different way. Some of the things watching the show again, it's like, God, I could see that in certain campaigns I've seen floating around recently.
Yes.
Some of the points. So
yeah. There's I can't remember his name. There's a congressman who just put out a Christmas card for him and his family, and they're all holding automatic weapons.
Which ticks me off because they're incredibly expensive, but continue.
Yes,
they are. I mean, don't get us wrong, folks. It's not that we wouldn't own these weapons. We love guns. We love guns. We really do. But, I mean,
you guys have to come to You have to get to New Hampshire. There's no license requirements. I get my guns are lent to me. All right, I don't even have to buy them. Yeah.
Craig, do you go to the gun library down there?
Yeah, how does that work? I got this rascally coyote in my house.
Hey, I got a Mauser for you. Here you go.
That's hilarious.
Remember, and as an African American male, I'm driving through New Hampshire with 2 shotguns in the back of my car, right by the cops. How's it going, guys? And
God bless America.
Hey.
New Hampshire is a very different kind of state. Like, people don't understand. It's where I grew up, and people don't understand what a weird state it can be. I'm so happy for you that you're not getting the direct racism. I assume you're getting the indirect racism.
Oh, I'm getting it's always the indirect racism, the questions not said, the looks. So my wife and I have been married for a long time, and she is Caucasian, and that's just so you guys will know. And to this day, we will go to a place eating or we're going shopping. Are you guys together? Right. It used to annoy us, particularly when we had our daughter with us. And I'd be like, no, I picked her up in the parking lot just now. And I got her.
You want to get a cheeseburger? Get in the back. Yeah.
I'm telling you. Okay. Back into work, escaping from reality. Yeah, let's talk about that, Craig. Those are very interesting points. That this is from season 4. These are the 95th and 96th episodes out of 97. As I was very cute in writing the description to joining us today, the last 3 episodes of Enterprise, many feel contain the 2 best episodes of Enterprise. But that third one, and that one, you mentioned it already, Craig. These are the voyages.
Gone before. Yeah, I think
we're known.
Yeah.
Yes, and it is. It is a very sad ending to the show. They found out 2 months before, 3 months before, they found out in February of 2005, while they were shooting the second part of Mirror Darkly, another great pair of episodes from Enterprise and from this season. While they were shooting the second part, they found out the series had been canceled by UPN.
Dang.
Now, in those days of 2005, it's very similar to now, which is a cancellation might not mean a cancellation. It just means you're not on the schedule coming up, but maybe you can go to another channel. Maybe you can go to another network or a streaming channel. So there was still a little fight left in the old girl. But for the most part, UPN had set up this 4th season. Now, tell me if this sounds familiar. The show might be canceled, but they bring it back, but they schedule it on Friday night.
Ooh.
That's what UPN did.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, what was done to the original series. TOS
Yes.
moved to Friday nights in no man's land at a time when people just don't watch TV because they're out there getting paid and getting laid.
If you're lucky.
Or at least trying.
Yeah, attempting to get paid and getting laid.
And they're not watching Star Trek.
And this sad ending marks the first time that this a series, a live action series, in this case, Enterprise, the first time it failed to come in at 7 seasons. Every show before, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, they got at least 7 seasons. And here we are in Enterprise. They're pulling the plug in season 4. Just really sad. Do you remember how you felt about this original cancellation? Craig, I'll start with you.
Sure. Yeah, it was disappointing. And I remember, the show had a rocky start. I thought the first season was uneven. It was kind of trying to do the episode of the week stuff. And this is a whole nother debate. I was always kind of mixed feelings about Brennan Braga, one of the showrunners and producers. He's kind of, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm not going to be too mean here, but I felt some of the choices he made in Voyager were a little suspect. So here we are again. And there was a battle in the writer's room between having episodes that kind of went episodic, that went more, weren't episodic, that went from season to season. So they lost that battle first season. Second season, kind of bouncing around. Third season with the Zindi, that was a long-running sort of concurrent themed show. Yeah. But by that time, the damage had been done. They never really got their leadership. However, all those episodes you were talking about, Mirror Darkly, I forgot the name of the episode when they had the Vulcan stuff too. They said, the hell with it. Let's write the episodes that we always really wanted to do. Yes. So they explored augments and Vulcans, and they were more like the first show. Yeah. And just like the first show, they had the same fate. They were canceled while they're just hitting their stride.
Right.
Flobo, one of the great features about you, it's a feature, folks, not a bug.
Is it my smile? Is it my beard? Is it my musk? I don't know.
That Flobo, all of those things are great. Don't get me wrong. Flobo joined the world of watching Star Trek just a few years ago. So a lot of what he knew was what a regular person, a normal, well-adjusted person knows. So Flobo, what was your impression about Enterprise at the time? Do you remember 2005?
Yeah, I remember that. So UPN, because I was an avid watcher, because SmackDown was on UPN at the time, and The Rock was on an episode of Voyager, I believe, that Fight Pit episode. At the end, towards the end of Voyager, there was like a UPN sponsored poll about what Star Trek would you be interested in. And for someone who watched like that episode with The Rock, I was like, and they gave us a choice, like a prequel series about the first Voyager, for the first Enterprise, a Starfleet Academy series, people trying to get to graduate, another Starbase type show. I remember picking the Starfleet Academy one. That'd be pretty cool. So we got Enterprise, and I saw the first episode. I remember turning it off at the intro song. I remember that specifically, being like, so that could have been an alternate timeline. That could have been my start of Star Trek, but that song turned me off. I was like, I don't get it.
That was your fork in the road, right?
Yeah, it was a fork in the road, man. Because in the Kelvin universe Prime, I'm a big Star Trek nerd. But when it got canceled, I guess from what I hear from other Star Trek fans, because all my friends were TNG fans, were like, "Oh, Enterprise killed the franchise. They're not going to make another Star Trek forever because it was so bad." So when someone goes, "Hey, look, go back and watch these series," I was afraid to check out Enterprise. If that's the worst, then I'm like, oh no.
And when you do actually get into the show, I have my opinions. I think everybody has their own opinions. I just want to know, what do you think it was? Was it the failure of the series, or was it fatigue with the franchise?
Definitely the latter.
That's a big question.
Oh. Definitely a lot, because you had two series running concurrently at one point, and then you do a prequel series that came after those two series. It was kind of like, that is not to say it invalidates what happened to Voyager, but let's go before that. It just goes, oh, well, you just put me on this. There's no fallout. They took 7 years, bro. Like, so I felt like there's more like fatigue, and I think that is another thing that Discovery struggled with. Because when it came back, people were expecting the greatest hits, a box set. I don't have no idea. So Discovery was like, no, we're doing this one little slice. It was like, not my Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Craig, how do you feel? Was it franchise fatigue? Was it series failure? Where do you go?
No, I think it's a combination of both actually, but yeah, it was more on this on the. I agree with Flobo there. I think it was a lot to do with the fatigue, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna, you're saying, okay, let's do after Voyager, like start, something else, after DS9 Voyager progression. Then it's like, no, we're gonna go back, right? And
Yeah.
And it wasn't until season 4 that going back made sense, when they said, okay, let's explore why the Klingons looked the way they did in the original series.
Yeah.
I recommend season 4, by the way, you guys, if you haven't seen it all, and it had things like that too. Oh, and this is why the Vulcans were acting like such jerks in Enterprise at all. They explained the whole thing with the Romulans. Oh, by the way, these were the Romulans came from,
Right.
or their first introduction.
Right.
All this stuff was all being built up. So okay, that's great, but they didn't do that to season 4. It was too late. By then, I think Flobo hit it on the head there. It was like, people like, yeah, who cares? I've seen this before, and it's narrow focus, and yeah, I someone who's just finished the first season of Discovery, I can see a similar trend.
Yeah.
Kind of deja vu there.
Yeah, and Craig, I don't think I'm giving away the store here when I say you do not hate Discovery. From my conversations,
Watch
with you,
it.
You do not hate it, but it hasn't totally won you over yet.
No, and like I said, there's a whole another conversation. Their choices they make with the characters, I get it. So I like Michael Berman in it's up at the very beginning, right? She mutinies against the captain. Why make it a mutiny? Just make it she's talking to the captain. There's the attack, and it causes conflict. And her conflict is, I couldn't protect my captain, right? And then she quits Starfleet. She doesn't get kicked out because she feels she failed her job. That way, you have all of the elements of the character without making it. That's all. But despite that, I still like her.
Yeah.
I can go on.
I've been murdered.
I mean, Flobo.
No. But I still enjoy the show. I'm still enjoying it.
Good night, everybody.
I'm just saying those little things annoy me. And it's minor, but yeah.
And it all boils down to who the showrunners are. As you said right in the very beginning, Craig, Brennan Braga had a very big voice in this. And then showrunners were moved out. And so by the time we get to season 4, Manny Koto has become one of the main showrunners. He's also brought in, I got them somewhere. Where are they? He's brought in this couple who have been writing, the Garfield, Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. They have written Star Trek novels and graduated up to writing a lot of this show, including the second part of this two-parter, Terra Prime. Judith and Garfield are credited with that one. Manny Koto credited with writing part 1.
And for people who don't know, Demons was, basically it takes black. There's a base on the moon, and there's this movement called Terra Prime, right? And talk about the showrunner. And there's this scene where Peter Weller, by the way, it's his first introduction to the Star Trek series, is sitting there and exuding all of his ultra conservative evil that you could talk about there, right? And he's watching this video of Colonel Green. All right, this guy. And if you guys remember that, now this is I'm anyone who's watched this not gonna talk to me anymore because I'm gonna show how nerdy I am. That was a reference back to the Colonel Green from an episode of the original series, right? Where they brought this guy back. They wanted these aliens wanted to see what was good and evil, and Colonel Green was basically Space Hitler.
He was. So he was very much about purity, biological purity, and killing off people who were not part of that. And he was very much the eugenics guy, or one of the eugenics guys. A very, very big part of post-World War Earth, post-World War III. And that echoes throughout these two episodes. I would even argue, I hadn't really thought about it too hard, that's why this is called Demons, this first part, because they keep referencing the demons of the past.
Yes, that was
people like
pretty, yeah. And they mentioned that. But I thought that was a cool throwback. And Flo, but that shows back where the show was trying to do, was just basically say, okay, we're going to take the lore of the original. We're setting the runway for the original series. That's
Yeah.
what they started becoming, right?
Yeah.
So all that's they were literally pulling stuff off. And that episode, by the way, of Star Trek One is silly, where Lincoln is literally floating in space at the beginning of the show. I shit you not. It's one of the goofiest episodes. Probably should be seen while you're stoned. So,
I can tell you for a fact it should not be. Especially later when Sarek is like, "Help me, Spock, help me," and it's not really Sarek. It blows your mind, man. You don't need that.
I was like, I can see why Kirk is such a jerk. He probably has a bunch of Terra Prime uncles on the farm growing up in Iowa or whatever he's from. You know, like, I'll show you simpler times.
If you go into space, stays away from the Greens women. I'm telling you, they're gonna do their space hoodoo magic on you, and they do. That's the thing. They're right.
They do.
they're right. Yeah. But yeah, there was a lot of that.
We are looking at. Oh, go ahead, Craig.
And I you guys like know too. I'm always a stickler for the science of Star Trek or not in Star Trek, and I'm going to geek out when the evil moon base Alpha lifts off and flies in warp, and they do it in a few seconds. I'm now going to really. That was actually somewhat accurate. If you could do that stuff too, the length of time between the distance between the moon and Mars, going at the speed of light. So those ships that go at warp 2 only. The Enterprise go warp 5. So following their both scales of warp stuff, it would take a few seconds, 10-second bursts, and you're at Mars. I was like, wow, they actually did that.
They care.
I feel like the two shows that really care about science is Star Trek and Futurama. Like that's it. Like everyone else is kind of like, we'll make it up happen in post. But
we'll bend it to our use.
Reboot. The Battlestar Galactica reboot was pretty good, by the way, too.
Okay.
The original show.
Yeah, and Ronald D. Moore, one of the great writers and creators on Star Trek, doing that. I got one of my favorite series, the reboot of Battlestar Galactica. We've been dancing around going through this plot. Let's see how fast we can go through it. When we open in Demons in part 1, we do meet Paxton, played by Peter Weller, and he's basically threatening this guy like, you'd better do the job right, or and the guy he's threatening is Mercer, Dr. Mercer. He's played by Patrick Fischler, who is from like every show I like. Patrick Fischler is from Lost. He's from Mad Men. He was tremendous. And I actually did a deep dive, like, what happened to him? He's still out there doing series, recurring, still doing lots of work. I talk about a guy who was very much of 2005 too. She looks so innocent. It's almost possible to forget what she represents. And then the big reveal, it's a baby with baby Vulcan ears. This is our now when you looked at the baby, okay, my first assumption was that's a Vulcan baby. And almost everybody in the course of the show looks at the baby and goes, well, that's a mixed baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
I it's so funny. How could you tell? Because aren't Vulcans just humans with pointed ears? So how would you?
That is very inappropriate. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, like, babies don't really have eyebrows. So like that's one of the secondary characteristics of Vulcans is the pointy one-line eyebrows. But like babies don't really, anyway. Yeah, it's not appropriate. I'm sorry I brought it up.
You're all racist.
Vulcan baby. I know. Hey, man, I bring up race. I try not to be racist, but if I am,
I don't try at all. I'm racist as hell. Those Vulcans are crazy.
just call me out on it.
Why Vulcans like this and Romulans like this?
Craig,
Oh my God.
One time I said, those Vulcans, they sure like their torches and gongs. And Flo was like, man, you are so racist.
So racist, bro. How illogical.
You could be right. I don't know. I mean, does lava know it's hot? I don't know.
That's deep.
All right, we've got we go to the second big scene of this. I know it's like we've got 15 minutes left, and I'm on the second scene of the first episode. Little bit of panic. Help me. Okay, so this is important. We are looking at one of the highlights of Star Trek, which is a peace conference. If you watch Star Trek for longer than 5 minutes, you're going to see a peace conference.
Can I jump in here real quick? I know we're running low on time, but you didn't have to tell me that this was the last season of Enterprise, because that peace conference was at a Marriott somewhere in the Carolinas. It was so cheap. I didn't know if I was in space or not.
So Flobo, you're not far off. It was a hotel not too far from the back lot, and because yes, they were running out of money, and dude.
Space.
And having worked in Hollywood, in the Valley, I can tell you, yeah, that happens all the time. That happens all the time where they're like, oh, yeah, there's that one Marriott in Studio City. Yeah, as soon as this other show is out of there, we're going in there.
Awful.
Yeah, man. So we've got a new character that we're looking at, Nathan Samuels. He's the minister of, and I have it written here, blank. Because they never say what he's the minister of. He's the minister of trying to get everybody to join the coalition of planets, which I assume is the oh my god, it's the League of Nations.
Yeah,
it's the precursor to the Federation. It's the
there
coalition. It's the main. Yeah, it's actually now a canon thing. So they pulled this out of one of the Star Trek manuals from back, and they said, oh look, this thing was like for 5 or 6 years this thing existed, and then they formed a federation around it.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, so that's cool to know.
Right in the Marriott in downtown Hollywood.
Thank you, Marriott, for your service.
Now we've got basically the minister giving this big long boring speech to there are Andorians, there are Tellarites, a couple other species I don't recognize, Vulcans. And then cut back to our crew, who has heroically returned to Earth after defeating the Xindi on the Xindi homeworld, I believe. Craig, is that correct?
Yeah, that was a season before. I think they were just coming off of the stuff that happened in Mirror Darkly. No, I can't remember now. I haven't watched this series in a while. I watched these 2 episodes over the weekend, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the week. But
yeah.
But yes, the Xindi Wars had happened a year ago, according to the timeline of the show. And remember, I don't know if you guys remember, the Xindi at the beginning of the episode had this big satellite appears over Earth. It shoots this big beam that cuts through the east coast of the United States, killing 7 million people. It goes all the way down through Central America. So that's why these guys are all set off, because they're like, aliens are going to kill us all as well. Yeah. That's also driving them.
It has happened. That's the thing. Aliens have attacked, and people on Earth have been killed. So it's very important for us to remember in terms of the current history. We have one of my favorite characters on the show who I always felt never really got enough time. We've got Travis Merriweather, and he starts talking to, I have here written, Space Lois Lane. I wish I could put a picture of her. Gannett Brooks is her name. She's a reporter. Okay. Now, you know Gannett, right? Gannett's the company that publishes USA Today. They own
it is
dozens and dozens of newspapers. And
I need you like a pop-up video track. That blows my mind. I didn't catch that.
They named her Gannett. It's like, and her brother, Wall Street Journal. Like, it's the dumbest thing.
Oh,
anyway.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Man. Yeah, I did not know that. Wow. That now.
My brother Barron's, yeah.
When you see her, she's got like that dead forehead. What is that botulism stuff they shoot into your forehead? Even though she is like 25 years old, she's a baby, but they still like got all the face deadeners and the shaped eyebrows. And I'm just looking at her and I'm like, oh my God, 2005. That's right. I remember it well now. Like almost every girl in 2005 looked the same. Anyway, she's doing all this like, flirting with Mayweather. And so it's clear something's happening there and something's going to happen. Then one of my favorite things in the world, the film noir call to action. Dead person shows up and gives you something. So this doctor comes through, Dr. Corey, and she's kind of bedraggled, and she's kind of walking, and she basically gets up to Archer and hands him a little vial that has a hair follicle in it, and says they're going to kill her, and then she dies. She's gone. At that point, the mystery begins. What is she talking about? They go up to the ship. Dr. Phlox tells them, oh, this hair follicle is from, and he gets right to it. It's from a baby from Trip and T'Pol, which starts one of my favorite things in this show, which is now Trip's like, wait, you had a baby? And I can only do Trip as a dumb, like, Florida man. Because anyway, she's like, no, I was never pregnant. Are you sure? And that creates this little, distrust.
My favorite
thing.
line of that out scene is, if you've never been pregnant, then you can't have a baby. It's like, someone got paid to write that? What? I don't know. I just...
As a parent, I want to be the one to tell my children that. I don't want them to be learning that from a Star Trek.
I mean, Maury Povich will have a field day with this. I don't been pregnant. I can't have a baby.
Can I just jump ahead to one of my little stand-up comedian moments from this, which is I go, wait a minute. I don't know a lot about Enterprise, but Trip, one thing I know is you got pregnant.
Right.
Exactly. He did.
Season 1. Like in episode 5 or something, he goes to another ship. It's actually that's how we Earth people got holograph, the really good hologram technology.
Yeah, got it from these guys.
We got it.
And remember, T'Pol gave him crap over that, too. She was like, really? I thought you go over there to repair their ship. You did more than repair the ship. She actually says that to him.
I love that.
I swear that's all I did. She's like, sure you did.
T'Pol throwing shade at the Earth guy for being slutty. It's just like the best thing in the world.
Hey. Those two had a relationship going on from the first season, which I thought was good. Whether it was intentional or not, it was always that way. Always throwing shade at it. It was something like, oh, well, you must have been.
Right.
And it's what's great too is there always was a tremendous amount of chemistry between the two characters and between the two actors. I mean, I'm going to drop a name here and say that when I was in voiceover, I actually knew Connor Trenier. One of the most regular, unassuming dudes. I mean, if you asked me, like, do you ever talk to him? Like, he would laugh at my jokes, but like, he would never like put himself out there because he was just like laid back. He's just a totally regular guy.
Oh, that's
super
cool.
Awesome dude too.
My goal in life.
And now we're chasing this mystery, and that brings about Reed meeting with his man Harris in the foggy back alleys of San Francisco, I guess.
Section 31.
I do love Section 31. I have always been a big one. I want to throw another nugget of trivia at you. So, do you remember the show Alien Nation?
Yes. My God, that was another kind of Fox sci-fi show or early 2000s.
Oh, with like those discounted trills with the little.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Got it. I remember that like vaguely. Yeah.
The Visitors.
Get drunk on sour milk.
Yeah.
Yes, they loved sour milk. They would eat cat food because they loved like raw food, raw meat, but they'd be eating like beaver. Wink. No, not kidding. They'd eat cat and they'd eat beaver. Wink. Wink. So the two lead actors from that show
I just
are
got that.
on.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
So I'm
Alf
slow
was the
today.
same way, man.
Yeah.
I think I just ruined Alf for you.
Well, he was always ruined. That guy was dirty as hell.
But the guys from Alien Nation, the two guys who starred in the Fox series, are on these 2 episodes. Harris is played by the actor who played the Visitor, Francisco, George Francisco.
That's right.
And the Earth guy is playing the main Vulcan,
Nice.
whose name I should remember in order to make this really impressive. And now we're at the end of my notes. Oh, no. I'm going to finish the show.
Well, I can I just sit there and say that I was a bit, not say confused, but there's a lot happening in these 2 episodes, and most of it works. And I remember last week we were talking about that, whether or not things should be spun off or not. I don't think so here. I think it's because it's a messy topic of purity versus integration, and you literally gave us a baby of mixed origin to underscore that point. I mean, I think it makes sense about, the terrorists out there actually in here, They were actually
exactly. And that's the thing, frequently I've heard this said that when you travel, you become a lot less racist. This is what the white folks tell each other. And
I bet they do. I bet. I went down to an Alabama.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah.
I mean, Josh Postel knows what I'm talking about. It is one of the important things to do is to broaden your horizons. Obviously, when there is an attack from space, people are going to go, space people are bad. And not see the larger picture, which is we can't defeat them alone. We need other space people to help us. So that is the answer that our intrepid crew, our Enterprise crew, knows that, but not everybody knows that, especially on Earth. So we do get the scene where, I just love the T'Pol and Tucker arguing about whether or not she's telling the truth about being pregnant. Oh God, I just love that scene so much. Because it's just so Tucker, you were pregnant. You're the only one on the Enterprise who got pregnant by an alien.
Non-canon.
So yes, we've got Paxton watching a video recording of Colonel Philip Green. This was made just after the ceasefire of World War III. And Colonel Green is a bad dude, and he's all about getting rid of the people who have radiation complications in their genetics. So he does have a lot of people killed so that the human race will be more pure. And not only does Paxton, who's played again by Peter Weller.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Weller. I keep wanting to say Paul Weller. He's a musician. Peter Weller,
who would go on in Star Trek New Duchess to continue the tradition of the crazy Star Trek admiral.
Yes,
and antagonize the Enterprise.
Yes, who's basically willing to kill everybody on the Enterprise to get what
Poor
he
guy.
needs.
If you look a certain way, you're never gonna be a good guy, like Eric Roberts, right? Like, look, you're the villain. Just be the villain, all right?
Hey man, they had their day. They had their day. They were young and beautiful at one point, and then they become evil.
Right.
That's how men age, ladies and gentlemen. We've got so Gannett Brooks meets Merriweather up on the ship, and then they end up in the sack. How did you feel? I have to ask about the more modern Treks. They especially on Enterprise, when they would go down to Earth, then they would come back, and in order to detox, what do you call it? To basically make sure they were okay, they would rub gel on each other.
Yeah.
It was a very deliberately sexy series, is what I'm saying.
I mean, it was deliberate. I'm not sure if it was sexy.
Good or bad? Good or bad? Anybody?
The decontamination gel scenes were an integral part of the show.
That's why I tuned in for the article. No.
It's like in Baywatch when they're like, rubbing lotion on each other, killing a good 5 minutes, making the network happy. We have we have a little glitch in the universal translator. We've already been told that Soshi is really good at this. Yoshi. My bad. Right? Am I getting her name right?
Yes, Yoshi.
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 And did a hell of a job updating these universal translators, but for some reason it's going funny. Put a pin in that. It's going to be important later. We've got T'Pol and Tucker have now been, definitely, I don't want to use the word fingered, named as the parents. I'm sorry, folks. Definitely. It's a rough show for a Sunday morning. I don't know why I swear as much as I do. And we have got some issues with, oh my God, Gannett Brooks is suddenly accused of being a spy. She's not a reporter at all. And so they
what? A woman that comes out of nowhere and throws herself at me is a spy? I thought I had game. What are the odds?
I'm telling you, Mayweather deserves better than this. Good-looking guy. Okay, so at the end of this episode, Paxton has now done exactly what Craig already alluded to. He has taken his mining operation. It's actually a ship. He flies it to Mars. He hooks into the Verteron array that is a giant space ray gun that alters the course of comets so they don't. Yeah. Oh, so that they will hit Mars at the pole and they will add ice and water, which actually scientifically does that work for you, Craig?
Yes, it's just the giant space laser is the problem, but the theory of what they're trying to do is fine.
Paxton goes out on subspace radio, and this had to frustrate you, Flobo, because you, deep down at your heart, are a communications officer. I am as well. And so he's putting out his, big, terrorist manifesto announcement, and no one can stop it. It's on all channels.
Don't do.
Why? The plot says so, Captain. We just can't stop the message of being.
I just picture my ancestor, who I know is going to be on QVC, buying ceramic clowns or something. And then she's like, why is this racist on and I can't change the channel? He's on all the channels. I must buy more clowns. Hey, we're to part 2. Hooray, we've got 2 minutes. Things are moving, though. Gotta say, these 2 episodes, just as you said earlier, Craig, these 2 episodes are so good. They really could have ended the series on this. It's so good. So now we are trying our best to get the counterattack going at Paxton, who has basically shot at the moon. He's done what the Xindi did to Florida. He's shot the ray at the moon, and he said, I'm going to start hitting targets on Earth. They are Starfleet targets. They are targets that have aliens in them. What does he give them? 24 or 48 hours to get all the aliens off of Earth.
I think it was 48. I think it was 48 hours to get everybody out of the system.
They put together an espionage team, and for Enterprise, which makes perfect sense. These guys are men of action. I can see them doing this. They are getting in there, and they leave Hoshi in charge. This is the first time this communications officer has been left in charge of the Enterprise. That's kind of exciting. Yeah. Last episode or next to last episode.
Well,
a little late.
Splitting hairs.
And the minister is on board the ship because, let's face it, you got to bring bureaucrats on the ship. What? Is this cheating? Do you think that they so frequently have bureaucrats on the ship during a mission, and the bureaucrats you can't do it the way you want it to?
It's a Star Trek. Star Trek has happened on all the series. There's always been an episode where there's a damn bureaucrat sitting there, political officer or something, yelling at the captain. I'm sorry, whoever's in charge.
Right.
I don't even
Deep Space Nine, Voyager, all of them had someone doing that.
I don't even think you've Craig, I don't even think you've gotten to the episode where they did that on Discovery. It was like 2 episodes ago.
It's like every season, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go.
So you love it. Stick with it, bro.
I mean, it's kind of cheap writing, but still, it does get that conflict right on the bridge. And let's face it, we do love that.
Yeah.
Things are really heated at this point, and we get the mission heading in. We also get Tucker and T'Pol. They went undercover, and they were trying to find the baby, and they got captured, and then they got brought to the baby. Actually, T'Pol did. This is where I start crying. When T'Pol meets the baby. Am I just a big mush, or did this emotionally touch your hearts at all?
I didn't cry, but it was emotionally touching. And actually, what happened, the ultimate reaction to babies were that got to me, right? But I won't give it away just yet. But right. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Flobo.
Flobo's like, I don't care.
I have a heart of stone, man. It's cold and black. It was interesting. I also hate rainbows and puppies too. So
I just love the moment where this big, sweet, fat baby and T'Pol going, "Hello, I am your mother. We're going to have to give you a name. We'll have to consult your father." And I'm just like, I love it so much. I'm doing that anime crying where it's so cute. Okay, we get oh, come on, John. Come on, you can do this. Basically, when Tucker is reunited with T'Pol and meets the baby, then they start getting into it with I think it's Greaves. Greaves is just a big badass, and he's like, "That's a half human thing," to the baby, right. And Tucker belts him in the freaking mush. Which, say what you will about Florida man is loyal to his kids.
And the guy's towering over Tucker too. So I'm like, dude, you're about to be destroyed.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Like,
I have make him angry.
I have seen. Yeah, I know. If you was to shoot him, it would just make him mad.
I thought he was gonna give up. It was like a delayed reaction. It was like, "Oh, you wuss." Oh, he's not a wuss. All right. Thought it over, then punched him.
So we get a very harrowing trip on Shuttle Pod 1, which Mayweather is piloting. So he's very much in this episode, which is great. Dr. Phlox is also action. Dr. Phlox is part of this. Reed and Archer, and they basically get onto Mars. They figure out a way to get onto Mars, and they're going to get to that mining operation.
After Reed fills the barf bag several times on the way down. Don't forget that.
That was very funny. And I have to say, this is one of those episodes where after 4 seasons, I'm like, I think I finally like Reed.
And grand closing. What?
Canceled. I like Reed. Canceled.
Yes. Smooth.
So they get to what'd you think of the little moment? I think it's coming back from a commercial too, where they're like sneaking in, they're on Mars, and we pass by the Carl Sagan Memorial Station like statue.
Yes. With Pathfinder sitting right there, right next to it too. So yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. Yeah.
So moment. We'll tip of the hat for that. We have now there's a lot of tension on the bridge where Sato Hoshi is has the minister over her shoulder, questioning everything she's doing, as they do. That's really what the bureaucrat on board is supposed to do. And he's pushing her and pushing her. It's really it's gonna pay off, folks. That one's gonna pay off. We do have Archer finally, actually the whole team finally gets to the Orpheus mining complex. There's a big showdown. I kind of like how it's done, especially with the ticking time bomb kind of clock. My favorite part is there's that window that gets hit and it's cracking and it cracks more.
Yeah.
I mean, this is some good writing.
It's a mixed bag, man. I'm just that pregnant line really get me upset.
I don't blame you. I really don't blame you. That one is still a problem for me. Like, your whole family lived in trailer parks, and you really have a problem?
Right.
Maybe there's a baby you didn't know about? Like, that shouldn't. Anyway. It turns out that they are able to knock the beam off its course, and it doesn't hit Starfleet, and it doesn't evaporate everybody. It hits the ocean. Really close to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
Yes, hits the harbor again, probably blowing out all the sewer lines and the communications lines that are actually out there. That's just me being
a practical guy who knows about tech. I totally understand. Now we have the very painful moment. So I'm going to kill all the comedy here, where T'Pol has realized by doing many different measurements with some kind of medical tricorder, and she realizes that the baby is not going to live. We also find out that the baby was an illegal clone made from samples that were stolen by a spy who was on Enterprise, and we really don't even know who the spy is at this point.
Right.
We of course find out very quickly it's Ensign Massaro. Always the Italians.
who kills himself right in front of Captain Archer with a phase pistol.
Right. Let's be honest. The captain tried really hard to stop him either. He's like, no.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, he's like, oh, Ensign. It's like
very, very Willy Wonka. No, stop. No, don't. And then we finally get the moment that should have happened at the beginning, that Trip was mad about at the beginning. It happens at the end. The person who delivers the big speech to the coalition is, in fact, Captain Archer. Just as the crew had been saying, it should be you up there. You should be getting credit. And, of course, Archer doesn't want credit, but he does understand he is the guy who's seen it all. He can explain to everybody, look, we have to stick together, and we have to make this happen.
That's a great Picard.
Yes, actually, that's very much Picard's wheelhouse, is the diplomacy, the speech making. Yeah, good call. Absolutely. There. So we now have that moment that I was like, please don't do it. And Ambassador Saval, played by one of the guys from Alien Nation, which used to be on Fox Television, stands up and gives him the slow clap. Does the slow clap bother you guys as much as it bothers me?
I did think it was a little goofy.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me normally, but yeah, it was kind of weird. It's kind of like, is he making fun of him? Like, oh, good for you. We lost a moon, but all right, Captain. You know,
if it was Shrek, one of the Andorians doing it, then I would have laughed hysterically. Give him the slow clap, because that would have been making fun of everyone.
Nothing more sarcastic than an Andorian. That's why I would love them. Okay, so that's a big moment because Ambassador Saval has been such a jerk to Archer for the whole series, the whole entire series. So it's a great moment that everybody sort of forms around Enterprise and says, wow, all the work you guys did, all the great work you did. Yes, we should all seek peace together because, you know, your cooperative mission was such an inspiration. And then, of course, the heartbreaking scene where Tucker and T'Pol get together and discuss the fact that Elizabeth's the name given to the baby, Elizabeth's memorial is coming up. So
That was Tripper's sister who died in the Zindi attack. That was her name they used. Yeah.
And very sweet that it was T'Pol who said it should be Elizabeth. We should name the baby after your sister.
And they give they say the baby, and there's no reason that Vulcans doing things the normal way and a human could have a baby. That was the big, which is laying things up for Mr. Spock. Yes.
And that is yes, exactly. It's very important that we hear that because there had been apparently a lot of question about whether or not Vulcans and humans had a similar enough physiology that they could actually start families if they wanted to. And yes, that gives us Spock. That gives us the wonderful Spock. So there's all kinds of connections. As you pointed out earlier, Craig, there's all kinds of connections from Demons and Terra Prime to classic Star Trek, which of course comes later in the timeline from where we are in this show, to all the Treks. It pretty much reverberates out. Really great. I actually like how they did this. I will mention that Connor Trenier had actually found out that his wife was pregnant with their first child shortly before they filmed this scene. And I also want to point out too that there's a bit of crying in especially in Terra Prime, and it's funny that the people who complain so much about Michael Burnham crying on Discovery never go, "Oh, remember that time we had to watch Trip cry for like 2 minutes?"
Yeah, he was
going at it.
Because he's more emotionally human. I thought and she was upset too. She was just holding it back, and I thought that was a great scene. I thought it was a tender. I didn't, I wasn't laughing at this scene. That's the one that got to me. I didn't quite cry, but I teared up a bit. I was like, "Oh, some of the onions in the room."
It's my allergies. I'm telling you, it's not just I'm a big sentimental whoosh. Yeah, that was me too. I wept. And the other thing to remember, I always like to point this out with Vulcans. It's not that they have no emotions.
Yes,
they have emotions. It's that they don't act on their emotions.
Yeah. Yep.
Which makes it even more.
Lower Decks has that pretty well. Season 2.
Lower Decks,
I gotta start watching that show. I'm behind on that one.
Seriously, I haven't watched season 2 yet. I got to get in there.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we got to get Flobo out of here.
Yeah.
Flobo has a job. I'm not going to tell you what it is. He can announce it. That's his news. But I will tell you he's working with co-eds.
Oh. No, I got to say it. Thanks.
Sexy results.
Esports commentating. Don't make it sound weird.
Okay, that's good.
I'm working with co-eds. I'm doing pillow fights, guys. No, I'm
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get some of the things that we missed.
Yep.
Yes, her name was Hoshi. I got it near the end. Also, Hoshi, her first time captaining, and then she's driven to tears. No one makes fun of Hoshi for that. Why you gotta be mean to Michael Burnham, all you toxic fans?
That's what I'm saying.
Let's get Flobo out of here. Craig, thank you so much for joining us. Please
thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
It was fun. It was
Come on back. Yeah.
Flobo, just the other day, people were asking about where can I find a link to Commander's Log. And so I went over to newamsterdam.com. That's new, KNEW, Amsterdam.com, and found them the entire page.
That's
YouTube
awesome.
channel.
That's how it works, baby. Check it out.
Also, Flobo has a Patreon, and I am a proud member of the Patreon. I got to tell you, he's a guy who takes care of his Patreon patrons because we get some good stuff all the time from him.
I try out there. Yeah. Patreon.com/FloboBoys. Yeah.
And that great Christmas present for yourself.
Definitely.
That's what I say. Anything else I can plug for either of you fellas?
Oh no, I'm starting to work at a influencing marketing company called Maverick, Maverick.com. So check it out.
Nice.
We help guys like yourselves hook up with some good brands and sell shit.
Oh,
Make some money. Yeah.
Oh,
Come on
Maverick
back,
Dot
Craig. We
com.
appreciate you.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but
see
I can
that.
come. I can interact with you guys about specifics later. But yeah, just for the general audience, whoever's watching.
Sure.
And
Very
yes,
cool.
Leo, I know it's Hoshi, not Yoshi. Sorry. I was thinking of the Mario Brothers turtle. I
Yes.
don't know why.
I always get hooked up. Well, and by the way, Chief O'Brien's son, I believe, is named Yoshi. Yeah. Poor,
Yes. Yes.
I'm not wrong about that, right? That's like such a New Yorker. I'm not wrong, right? Such a New Yorker thing to say. You guys always bring the New York out of me. Flobo, thank you for coming by. He had to drop out. He's literally got to go to his next job.
Okay.
Craig, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody who showed up to watch the show over in the comments. Oh, we agree. We love it so much. Thank you so much for coming in and letting us know what you think and feel. And we will be back next Sunday. That's 2 p.m. on the East Coast where Craig is. And that's 11 a.m. on the coast where I am. And Chris, we love you right back, brother. We love you like family. So once again, thank you so much, Craig. And folks, there we go. There we go. One more episode in the can. Next week, I have no idea.